What's happening? It's Deshaun Jones, one half of Enveonline.
This is the other half, Azar Johnson. Let's go.
All right. We're still new to this. We've been doing media for about 10 to 12 years, correct?
Correct.
But for the podcast environment, we're new to this.
Right,
So
right.
if you're newly tuning in, we cover hip hop, sports, entertainment, fashion, politics, or a wide range of topics, which we're going to do a little bit of today. So I'm going to jump straight into the hip hop topic that we talked about.
Okay.
First topic I want to get into is responding to the Chicago rapper by the name of King Yella. For the people who don't know who King Yella is an artist coming out of the Chicago area. If we can we get the graphic thrown up? Gotcha. So King Yella is an artist out of the Chicago area. And I want to take a second to highlight some of the positivity that he's talking about on his YouTube channel. So for context, he recently came out, I want to say around Father's Day, with his No Diss Challenge. I'm going to paraphrase what he was talking about because I don't think I can replay his video or play his audio due to copyright issues. So I'm going to paraphrase. I'm challenging Chicago mainly, but the whole world. For all you guys out there that think you're hard, that think you're the best rapper, make a song without dissing or talking about somebody or killing. Let's see who can make the hardest song without talking about killing. It's Father's Day. Let people be a father to their kids. Let's stop killing. Let's put the guns down. Let's put the hands up. Now, before I go, do you got anything you want to?
No. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you lead on that one.
So I thought that was very important because last time we was in here, we talked about the wide range of gun violence within the hip hop community. I want to say 2 Chicago artists was unfortunately taken away. I want to say FBG Cash and Money Gang Vontae.
Yeah.
Money Gang Vontae. And then the artist in Atlanta by the name of Trouble. So I thought this was huge, and I think this should be a big topic within the hip hop and podcast or a blogger community due to what we're seeing in hip hop culture. I'm not saying dissing hasn't been around because obviously dissing has been a part of hip hop since the inception. But with the wide range of artists coming into hip hop culture, let's say it used to be 50 local artists. Now there's literally 1,000. So obviously that's going to be enhanced as far as dissing and music. What we've been seeing these last couple of years has just been every song from these underground artists that they're coming out with is spin the block, op talk, I'm going to shoot your right hand, man, smoking this, smoking that, you a pack, everybody's a pack. It's dumbing down the music in our culture. Remember back in pre-2015, I can name a whole list of artists, not just from New York because we're from New York, but just all around. I used to go on YouTube, who's the hottest rapper in Indianapolis?
Yeah.
And listen to their music.
Right.
Who's the hottest rapper in Atlanta and listen to their music? Now it's like, okay, 1,000 artists and they're all drilling.
Yeah.
Running down his discography real quick just to get people caught up with King Yella. I want to say he's been putting out music since 2014. So I'm going to just go through a few of his albums. Yella Corleone, 2014. Clout King, 2015. I Think I Am Tupac, 2016, where I caught wind of him. We all know why that can be seen controversial, saying you think you're Tupac from Chicago. But place a pin in that because I'm going to talk about that specific album as it correlates to King Yella's transformation. Love is Hate 2017, POME, which I could just take a wild guess, Product of My Environment 2018, and Duck Ain't Dead 2021. Pardon me. That's just to catch people up on. If you don't know who King Yella is, that's who he is. I'm gonna go through a couple of his quotes, and then I guess touch on some points and give my little take on it, and then we'll move on to the next segment.
Okay.
So one of the first, it was a 2-minute video, 2-minute clip, and one of the first things that stuck out to me amongst many things. One of the quotes was, "Let's see if the blogs push this or post this positivity." Have to agree with them. We've been doing media for 10 to 12 years, but we new on the podcast game.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that we have to take accountability for in media is how we portray these underground artists coming into hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times, the major blogs, magazines won't post somebody until they're locked up. They won't post somebody until they get shot, so they're beefing. Meanwhile, this underground artist had 5 years of them grinding, trying to get their song heard, but you won't post it. But the second they get locked up, hey, here's this artist from Florida that sent a RICO charge. It's like, can we get a little context on who, know, who he is?
Right.
Have you ever posted his music before? So, you know, that's one thing. Another thing he said, I see is people saying it's too late, but how is it too late? We have the youth behind us. Right. I thought that was a powerful statement because he's still young within his rights. I think he's late 20s, early 30s. But when he says the youth is behind us, you know, yeah, we're losing people on this side, but when is this going to stop? And it's like, yeah, you got a whole bunch of not just rappers, but people in general that looks up to you. That's 15, 16, 17, 18. He's saying we have to start making a better example, not just for us to survive this, what we're going through, but to the next generation. You got any thoughts?
No, I agree. I mean, it's starting to get bad out there. You know, I think the diss records is starting to get a little too crazy. I mean, it's you know, you knew back then like there wasn't nothing gonna happen. I mean, when KRS-One and them went at MC Shannon and the Juice Crew wasn't gonna get into no gunplay and all that. That wasn't gonna happen. You dig what I'm saying? And now it's starting to seem like every time you diss somebody, it's a possibility you can run into somebody and lose your life. So I think when they're doing the records or doing whatever they're doing, you know, it's a flip side of both. Like you can't just be out here promoting that. And I think that's one of the things. But I think on a bigger note, you always go to a bigger platform. Like it is up to the artist because even though labels are pushing and promoting that, you as an artist can go back to the label and be like, I'm not doing that. You tell them no. I mean, if the majority of the artists say no, I'm not doing that. I'm not pushing that to my people and this, that, and the third. Then it can't be out there happening. So I think you need to. There's a lot of topics you talk about. You talk about what you go through with women and stuff. And I'm not talking about just using the thing of talking about you going through it like with the whorish behavior and all that, calling them all types of names. There's things you could talk about like businesses. Things that in our culture we need to start paying attention to. You can rap about that stuff. We just it seems like we just keep going into the same thing, like what you said about the drill, and it's not producing anything positive. It's just promoting death all over again, and the fact that nobody's other than what he's saying, nobody else is saying anything. I mean, this can't keep happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and once again, I don't want to sound like the two old heads coming down on young cats. Like, I turned 36 in November, and somebody told me, like, dog, you're close to 40, so now you're officially no head. And not to put your age out there, but you're slightly older than me.
Yeah.
So we're the old heads. I remember we was driving to a Finals 4 game in Connecticut, and you were blasting satellite radio, and it was a diss record that came on. I'm going to reference it just to give you some context that we're not trying to come down on the youth music because this diss record dropped in 1992. So the diss record is by Roxanne Shante called The Big Mama.
Yeah, salute to her too.
Salute to Roxanne Shante. That's one of the queens of hip hop. Not just queens, I'm not putting a gender on it, but that's just one of the prominent figures in hip hop culture. That record to me, first time I heard it, I'm 36. First time I heard it, I thought that was on par or bigger than Tupac's Hit 'Em Up with the way she was speaking.
Yeah.
That was 1992. I think the record was, from my research, produced by Granddaddy IU.
Yeah.
That's another name you need to go look up if you're in hip hop culture.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hempstead, Long Island. But yeah, that's always been a part of the culture, but there was a balance between other records, you know, so within the last couple of years, I haven't been hearing that variety of music from underground artists, not the top 40 pop artists on Billboard, but from the artists that's coming out within their city that they're coming out of. The point I want to address, that reason why I brought this up, was it's one thing to talk about it because you can get on your platform and say, yeah, everybody need to stop dissing, but then you're not showing action. I think the bigger picture of why I brought this topic up to give this young brother his flowers and to keep encouraging him and to push his positive message was because I've been personally following his page, following his YouTube channel, and I'm seeing the transformation. And I'm looking at the young brother saying, yo, if you continue to do what you're doing, you're going to affect positive change first within your house, second within the people around you, then third, obviously, the people from Chicago. And that's the bigger picture because if Chicago's influencing the hip hop scene for the last couple of years, if we start seeing the major figures, the King Yellas, I want to say Breezy 600. And again, I don't want to get in these guys' street affiliation. I'm going to stay out their business. But if we start seeing change at the top, then all the people that's following these two, 3 or 4, however many there is, they're going to start changing. And we will start seeing that positive culture, with the positive messages within the music. One thing that he did that let me know he was serious, well, there's a few things. First, he interviewed with Sean Cotton on Say Cheese TV, which is a big platform in hip hop culture. And he talked about moving out of Chicago years ago. The second thing he talked about, which I saw, which I think, again, I don't think he was looking for validation from outside our culture, but he talked about all the face tattoos. He has quite a few. And he said, yo, you know, I really been seeing how some of my peers, some of the women in my community are looking at me with these face tattoos, and I don't like the look that they're giving me now that I'm getting older. And to me, that was very mature of him saying, yo, this ain't about people outside of hip hop or non-black people looking at me. I'm looking at my culture, my women, the people in our community. So, hey, next thing I know, 2 days later, he's uploading a video. He's literally in the tattoo removal was it a tattoo removal place, and he's literally starting the process of removing the main tattoos from his forehead, his eyes, and his side. I'm like, wow, like this dude is not just talking about it. He's actually walking it.
Right.
The final thing that I saw, which was recently, he did a podcast with, I want to say this brother name is J Hood from O Block, not the J Hood from D Block from New York. Because we're from New York, so I have to put that out there. Yeah. Shout out to J Hood, one of the members from D Block. But again, this is Chicago. We're referencing Chicago. So there's a guy called J Hood from O Block. I guess he was affiliated with King Von. I'm not too familiar with Chicago politics, so I'm going to stay in my lane. But apparently these two were supposed to be at odds. I don't know the correct terminology between the gangs.
I get you.
But them two did like a whole live together. And prior to this happening, you would have thought them two would have never been in the same room at the same time. But when you see these two coming together, coming from where they came from in Chicago, he's talking about changing for the positive, not just glorifying King Von, but learning from King Von, which I think that's big of him to do, even though he gets a lot of hate from it. King Yella's talking about changing for the positive, and then now they're both coming together through the podcast to speak to the youth. Both of them are in their late 20s, early 30s, preaching that message. So I personally got to commend that as being 36 years old. You know, I'm following you from upstate New York. You know, my partner's from Brooklyn. I brought it to his attention. And as somebody in the podcast game in the hip hop culture, I think that's the message we need from multiple rappers, from multiple content creators that are in this space. Let's step up. Let's teach our community. Let's teach our family. Let's teach the children. Let's teach the people from our cities that we can be more than just tough guys, gang affiliates, and whatever else that they like to see us portrayed to be.
Right. No, I agree. I think we need to like stop beefing, because it's not just more like, you know, I don't know. It's just like when somebody's beefing now, and I mean, what is the end goal? You got to think about that. So I think when these young cats is getting into it, it's like, yo, you need to think about what's the end goal. What you gonna really win? You're not gonna win anything. It's gonna just be constant ongoing war. And mind you, the people that don't look like you is gonna benefit off of it. So I mean, what is that really? How's that really helping you? I don't understand it. So I mean, you ain't here for your kids. You ain't here. I think we talked about this. Your goal should be to just be an old man. If you look at what Dame and Jay and Nas and Karis went on, they still do what they do. It didn't stop them from being who they was. They just they fathers, and and that's the most coolest thing that they can do and be. And I think that's not glorified a lot. You know what I mean? Mano and Jim Jones are too. All of them are. So I mean, they're all fathers. They're all cool. They all still doing what they want to do. Just because you're not running around here trying to start a beef with everything, everybody, and everyone, doesn't mean you just can't be the coolest cat in the block. You know what I mean? Don't try to be like that. There's no glorification. There's no benefit in that. There's no end game to that. It's gonna end you somewhere where you're gonna wish, as what Gilly would say, you wish you could just come back down that elevator. Don't be that guy. You know what I mean?
And I think more importantly, we're gonna wrap this up, but more importantly, what we're seeing in hip hop is the feds.
Mm-hmm.
To give a sports analogy, if you follow basketball, if I say somebody has a 3-1 lead on you in the playoffs, you know it's over.
Yeah.
So the analogy I'm going to use for you young kids is right now the feds have a 3-1 lead with RICO indictments.
Mm.
So you guys that are coming into your career creating diss records from that background, they're going to let you get 3, 4, or 5 years deep into the game. Hell, they might even see you blow up and get show money and start making hundreds of thousands of dollars. The problem's going to come into play where the feds say, you know that murder we couldn't solve from 7 years ago?
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Mr. Jones, you know that murder we couldn't solve from 7 years ago in your city? Well, we've been listening to your music, and you, your man, the person behind you been dropping little hints that we've been picking up on.
Yep.
So, to you young kids out there, take King Yella advice. I want to see this new age artist start trying to be more creative with their music. Let's go back. Let's go back to the braggadocious, who can dress the flyest, who's getting the most money.
Right.
Let's see more club records. Just an overall message. When's the last time we heard of Brenda's Got a Baby?
Right.
Facts. So we're going to wrap this up. Shout out to King Yella. Shout out to what you're doing. To the people that's new to him, just go on YouTube, type in King Yella, follow his channel. The guy's transforming right before our eyes. Keep doing what you're doing, young man, and keep staying positive, man. I really believe you're going to change the people around you, and then ultimately your community. Much love.